everyone. Thanks for joining us. Today, I'm excited to hear about some day hikes and some wellness for just getting out there and getting healthy. So, I've got Lena with me today. And so, go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into leading these outings and these day hikes and what they involve.
Oh, that's a very good question. How much time do you have? Um, so I take people out hiking in the Brecon Beacons. We're in South Wales here, so it's about an hour from where I live, and it's the most beautiful mountains, very accessible. And I take people out for a full day, hiking, seeing some wonderful views, and spending time with people that they don't know. Because I want them to come a bit closer to themselves and take an actual break from everyday life because I feel like we don't do that enough. Um, yeah, we do mindfulness exercises in the mountains. I get guide some meditations along the way, and then we also end up in a lake for a dip in a cold water.
Oh, nice. It sounds amazing. So is this
Yeah,
something you're kind of able to do year round, or is it weather dependent? Or talk a little bit about
it
that.
is. It is very seasonal. I only started last year, so I'm basically now a year in. I started in March last year, and I think my first one was the 26th, so coming up to pretty much a year now. And I've got my first one for this season this Sunday, so 27th, so pretty much exactly a year later. And I do the retreats from March till October, and then I take a little winter break because I just don't fancy going into the snow. And I mean, it rains a lot over here, so it's not a cliche. It does rain a lot in Wales and the UK. So yeah, we're taking a little winter break just because I don't want to have people sitting around trying to meditate when it's raining. It's not the same vibe.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, we're doing more local stuff in the winter and like local 2 hour walks because it's fine if you're in the rain for 2 hours because you just get home and get dry again. It's very different than being away for a whole day.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, what are some of the benefits you think women can experience from participating in these outings?
So for me, it's all about the actual break that people get when they're away. A facilitated day means that people who come on my retreats, they don't have to think for the day. They get a kit list in advance. They know exactly what they have to bring. I'm bringing lunch. I know the way. I've got a mountain leader with me as well. I've done my training, but I'm not qualified yet. And it's quite nice to have someone look after me as well at the same time. So I really don't have to worry about anything because everything's taken care of. And I think that's what people need at the moment because we're constantly going, constantly doing something, always on the next thing on the to-do list. If we're done with work, we're thinking about what we have to prepare for dinner. Are the kids home from school yet? Do they have to do homework and all of that stuff? And everyone's got their own version of that. And I think we don't take enough breaks. So what I'm really trying to give people is that break from everyday life and just being able to connect with themselves and do something just for them. And it's a big thing for mental health and being able to spend some quality time for yourself without taking care of anyone else.
Yeah, I agree. And just being outside, maybe away from your computer, away from your cell phone, and all that kind of
Yeah,
digital
especially
distraction.
if you don't have service at the mountains, that's very good
I was
because
just going to
phones
ask
can't
about
ring.
that. Yeah. If
Um,
you-
it's a little bit, to be fair. So there are some areas where we do get some service. So people are not out of the world, but it is quite nice. I do say in the beginning before we start hiking, I'm like, consider turning your phone at least on silent. Obviously, take pictures as much as you want, and it's for them as well to enjoy. But I really say try to not be um, get distracted today because that's for you to enjoy the day and being present in the moment. Because otherwise, you're just going to go home and you've spent the day on your phone. So that's
Right.
not the point.
Yeah. So how large are your groups generally?
So we usually have about eight. So 10 is my max, which is still a nice size of group. I actually have 10 on my on this Sunday. But yeah, six to 10, something between that, and it's really nice because it's big enough so that people feel like they're not being put on the spot when I ask a question. People can kind of hide behind each other a little bit, but also it's not too not too big that people kind of get lost and feel like overseen, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense because sometimes when you're introverted, you do feel like other people kind of take the highlight
Yeah.
and you just kind of retreat back. So I completely understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do say to people in the beginning, because obviously, as you just said, some people are very introvert, some people are more extroverted and like naturally want to speak to everyone. And I do say in the beginning that it doesn't matter what you do that day. I just want people to do what they need to do. So if someone's there who says, I need me time today and I don't want to speak to anyone, I'm like, go ahead and don't do that. Like walk 3 meters behind us. Don't speak to anyone if you don't fancy. No one's taking offense. I just want people to really do what they feel like they need to do. And also, I say in the beginning, does anyone not want to be spoken to today? Like, do you want to be like, just so that we know, and then you feel like you've kind of communicated that, and then we're not going to try to get into your space if you're fine by yourself. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's a good approach too. And it allows them to kind of disconnect as they need to, most likely,
Yeah,
if they're really stressed or, life is just crazy nowadays. So,
it is, to be fair, especially after COVID and everything's
yeah.
going back to normal.
So, do you have advice for people that have never done a cold water dip before?
Take it slow, I would say, and listen to your body because there's so many rules out there. You can do so many minutes in that kind of temperature, but it's so individual and it really depends. Like, I go in every day, every single morning. I go to the sea and get into the water, and at the moment it's really cold. Um, it got really cold really early this year. So in December already, it was freezing. It was about 6 degrees. We were like at 6.5 maybe now, sometimes 7, sometimes a bit colder. And it really depends so much on so many things. Like it depends how much I've slept. Like if I get there in the morning where I've after a night where I haven't slept very well, it's so much harder to get in. Or in general, when I'm in general not in a very good mood, like mentally, it's much harder to get in. It really depends on so many things. So that one thing I'd really say is take it slow. Don't think you have to go dive straight in because that's just dangerous. Really walk in, get your legs to it, used to it, feel how that feels, and see how far you can go. Obviously, the goal is to get your shoulders under, but if you can't do that, that's absolutely fine, because bodies just need time to adjust to that because it's essentially a big shock to the system if you get into cold water and your body goes, why are we doing this? What's going on? You're going into survival mode. And yeah, so definitely take it slow, listen to your body, and don't push yourself too much because it can be a dangerous thing if you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. It kind of sounds invigorating though too, a little bit. Like you said, just something that's totally unexpected. And
Yeah,
is there
absolutely.
is there a fitness level that is required for participants in your group hikes?
For the hikes, yes, it is uphill. It is a hike, so if you're not steady on your feet, and it would be better to come on one of the walks because they're easier. They're not as much. They're just not as strenuous. They're not uphill really much. It's more of a flat walk, and yeah, for cold water therapy, anyone can do it really. If if it's not at the top of a mountain, um, yeah, it's just up to the individual how they're feeling.
Yeah. These sound so beautiful.
Thank you.
I'm really glad. So what prompted you in a way to design these hikes for others?
So it was one of the many lockdowns, to be honest. I think so. I started going in the sea because I moved to the UK from Germany in the height of the pandemic in August 2020. And then everything was fine, and like first lockdown, it was still happening, obviously, but the weather was great, and I just walked a lot, explored. I was exploring the area because I was new to a country, so I was like, "This is brilliant! I'm at the seafront. I'm fine. I'm in lockdown, but I'm okay. I can go out." So that was allowed. Um, but then I think the year after, there was a sudden lockdown after Christmas, and then it dragged into February, I think. And in February, I started going into the sea because I felt myself I was annoyed all the time. I was working as an au pair, so I was like a live-in nanny.
Oh, okay.
I was looking after three little kids. They were 2, 4, and 6 at this point. So I was homeschooling two of them, and then looking after the 3-year-old as well that was running around in the house. And I was just, it was too much. I needed some space. I needed sunshine, which obviously wasn't happening because it was February in the UK.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just felt really tense up constantly, and I felt like I couldn't do my job properly because everything the kids would were annoying me, and I was annoying them, to be fair, because they didn't want to be stuck in the house with me either. They wanted to be in school with their friends, so it was kind of mutual, the feeling of, oh my God, why are we here? But I started going in the sea, because it's only 10 minutes from where I lived, and I was like, I need to do something. And for some reason, I thought that was going to be a sea dip.
Yeah.
um, just did that, and the first time I did it, and I came out of the water, and I felt like myself suddenly. I was like, I've got all this energy that I was lacking for months now, and I felt amazing. And as you said, I felt invigorated. I was like, I feel like I've got new life. I've got energy suddenly again, and I was so motivated to do stuff. And I started making it a habit and going in every day. And yeah, surprise, my job got much easier because I had much more patience for the kids, and all of that stuff. So that was brilliant. And then I just felt like, because I had started something for myself, something really so little, I was just, I mean, obviously it's the cold water, but I was just going to the seafront every day. But it was because I was making an effort for myself and gave myself a break that
Right.
I was able to do my whole work and my whole life in a better mood. And I realized that I didn't take a break for that. And I realized that a lot of other people don't take breaks. And when my au pair job then ended, I was like, I kind of want to do that as a regular thing. I want to help people do what I've done, and I want to help people to give themselves quality time, to recharge, because especially, as I said, after COVID ended, or kind of ended, and everything went back to normal, and everyone had so much time at home, except from nurses and all those amazing people who worked throughout the whole
Yeah.
pandemic. But so many people had so much free time, and time to do stuff that they liked, and then everything went back to normal, and everyone was working more than before, and it was just crazy. And I was like, I need a break, and I kind of want to help people to do that, because I started going in the sea. Some people joined, and it was just this brilliant feeling of, I got to be there. I helped people into the water when I did it the first time, and it was just, I was being a part of their, like, re-energizing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I just
Yeah.
felt so honored to be a part of it and be there. And I saw within 5 minutes, from going from one extreme of, why am I doing this? It's way too cold. I can't ever do this. This is horrible. I hate you. Why are you making me do this? All the way to, oh my God, I love this. I feel amazing within like the shortest amount of time, because as soon as
Wow.
people are in the water, like, oh no, I'm used to it now. I can do this. This is amazing. I feel great. And then they go out. And I had a girl the other day. I know her quite well, so it was fine. But while we were walking in, she said, I fucking hate you. Sorry for swearing, but
Yeah,
she was like,
no, it's
I
okay.
hate you, Lena. I was like, yeah, I know. That's fine. You can hate me right now. Don't worry. Say whatever you need to say. And then we got in, and she got her shoulders in, and she was like, I'm fine now. I was like, yeah, I know. She's like, oh, okay, I feel good now. And then we walked out, and she went, I love you. I was like, yeah, I know. Literally one extreme to the other.
Wow, what a transformation to
Yeah,
witness. Like it's
yeah,
just a simple act of, like you said, getting into the cold water and
yeah,
oh my
absolutely.
goodness. So where do people find you? Where are people finding out that you lead these things?
So I'm quite connected, obviously, locally with like all of the people who go in the sea now, because we've started kind of a thing now. It's like there's people every single day. But I do have Instagram and Facebook, which is Get Out Mindfulness. And yeah, I've got an online calendar where all my retreat dates are in, and my local walks as well. So yeah, I'm just big time on Instagram, sharing all the time. So yeah, that's how
It's
people can find me.
yeah, it's good to know people have connected with you that are eager to go and do these things and witness
Uh,
like being out in nature and all of that. Do you find that some women struggle more with mental health than others? And do you have repeat women keep coming back?
yeah, I tend to get a lot of parents, which I'm not surprised by. I'm really not. At the same time, it's always really honoring when people with kids actually book on, because a lot of their own expectations on themselves is, I can't leave my kids alone for a whole day. And I'm like, actually, you need to then be there for them in a better mood. Because
right.
that's what, essentially, that's what I did as an au pair. I left the house and I left the kids. Obviously, they weren't alone, but I left surroundings and had time to myself. And then I came back and it was so much easier to do my job. And parenting is a job. So if they take
Yeah.
this day off, and then they go back home and they've got so much more energy to do their job of parenting, to show up for their kids and in a better mood and play with them actually, and not wish they'd be somewhere else or the kids would entertain themselves. Yeah, I get a lot of parents, to be fair, and I also get a lot of people who work a lot, kind of naturally, because 9 to 5, always on it. Especially people who are like in quite well paid jobs, because they've got a lot of responsibility. And that's kind of
Yeah.
what I said earlier, that if we have responsibility for someone else constantly, it's super intense and we never get like switch off our brain. And that's why it's really important for me that before we go on a retreat, people know everything. They get information as much as they want. I've got emails that are going out automatically with all the information. So where are we meeting? What the walk going to be like? Just so that people have got a picture on their mind and don't have to worry about what's going to happen. I'm sending kit lists so they don't even have to think about what do I need for a hike. I'm writing down what they need so they know exactly what they have to pack. And then I'm bringing lunch, so even that is sorted. And yeah, stuff like that. So it's really important to me that I get with people a day where they don't have to think, essentially.
Yeah. That is nice because a lot of times people do, they just don't want to think
Mm.
anymore. They just want like they want someone else to take the controls and lead them and
Yeah,
all of
it's
that.
exactly what it is, because I get that as well. I feel obviously I love the retreat and it's amazing and it's my favorite part of my job. It's like I get to spend time with 8, 10 people in nature and get to see amazing views and go into the lake and just connect with people. Um, but it's not recharging for me, or it is, but it's not, because I'm taking care of people, so I'm
Right.
I'm taking the responsibility. Um, so I see the difference in myself. So when I go hiking just by myself or with some friends, I go plan the route. I don't want to do this because I'm just coming for myself. I don't want to think today.
Right. Yeah.
So because that's what I do, which I love, and I love doing that for other people. But then when I go hiking just for myself, I'm like, someone else plan it. I don't want to think.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, I've had to do that all week. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What advice do you have for anyone who might be interested in starting their own wellness group hikes? Because there's so many places. I mean, they can do it anywhere, cities,
Yeah,
country.
absolutely. My advice would be just start doing it. Because I was thinking, I really make this a job. Like how do you do that? And it's not your normal. People might go, well, how do you make your money? What?
Yeah.
And you get that, but then at the same time, how amazing is it that I can make my money being happy in the mountains with connecting with people? And I wouldn't have gotten here if I hadn't tried, because I am actually all my life. I always said I wouldn't live abroad. I would never move abroad, which then I moved from Germany to Wales. And
Right.
I also always said I would never be self-employed. And now I live abroad and I'm self-employed. Um, so even though I thought I could never, I just did it. And I have a lot of friends around me, and I've got a life coach, and she's amazing, and she's helping me. When I naturally, everyone deals with imposter syndrome, and am I good enough to make this happen, whatever. But I think if you surround yourself with people who have your back and who are there to support, and I've got so many of them, I'm really lucky and I'm really grateful that I've got this network. If you feel like you're supported, just go and try, because the worst thing that happens is it doesn't work, and then you just go and try something else, but you will never find out if you don't try.
Right.
um yeah, so that's my biggest advice, really. Just go and don't wait. Oh yeah, that's the biggest, actually. Don't wait until you feel ready, because you will not.
Yeah,
You will never
exactly.
feel
Yeah.
ready.
Right. That is really good advice because you're right. I mean, if you wait, it won't happen. So you might as well just
Yeah,
go do it. Do you think
yeah,
you'll ever do like some longer, like weekend retreats, or you're just happy doing it?
probably.
the day retreats?
Probably at some point we've got a big community now with our sea swim club as well, and we are kind of putting some stuff on like little wellness festivals as well. And at the moment, that's always just one day, but we were looking into at some point down the line, we're going to make that a weekend thing, with a big amount of people, and so it's merging my business and the sea swim club kind of together. So definitely
Nice.
at some point I'll be involved in making bigger weekend retreats or festivals or whatever.
How far are you? What's the closest main city then that you're at?
So I'm in South Wales, so the biggest main city is the capital, which is Cardiff. That's like 10 minutes on the train away, like 10 minutes by car. It's very close. But then Bristol is only an hour away, which is in England. London is about 3 hours, 3.5. Yeah, so
Do
that's
you
where we
ever
are.
have tourists join you, like travelers from other countries?
Um, Not from other countries yet. I mean, technically, England is a country country,
Right.
so yes, technically yes. Yeah, I've had some people from London. I've had some
Oh,
people from
nice.
Northampton, I think, Manchester. So that was pretty epic. And I was like, "You drove how
Yeah,
many hours just to go hiking with me?" And that was
right.
like a reality check for me because I was like, my Instagram got to England, and then people just decided to drive to Wales for a weekend, and they actually stayed over as well. They stayed here somewhere in an Airbnb to go hiking with me one day, and I was like, "How is that happening? This is amazing."
Yeah. Oh, that's
Um,
fabulous. Well, I think
yeah, the
because you
next,
are going and doing something out in nature, that it could be appealing, just, something
yeah,
different and something.
absolutely, and I actually have some friends who have a beautiful Airbnb just like 10 minutes, 15 minutes from where we hike usually, so absolutely possible to come over and stay for a weekend or for a couple of days and like it's beautiful here. Like you really have mountains, you've got the sea, you've got everything on your doorstep within half an hour or an hour.
Wow.
So definitely worth checking out South Wales, Brecon Beacons, or even, a little bit more to the west coast. It's absolutely beautiful. And obviously come on a weekend where one of my retreats is on because
Yes.
that'd be
Yeah. Well, that's
great.
what I was just thinking that, you could come stay
Absolutely.
in the Airbnb. It sounds like a lovely
Yeah,
location with the sea there and the
yeah.
hiking and I'm sure wildflowers in the springtime.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is beautiful. And yeah, my next step is definitely get someone from abroad. And
Yeah.
to be fair, my mum already said, "We're coming next year. Can you plan a retreat for when we're around?" So my mum might be the first one who's coming from a different country. But other than that, obviously it would be nice to have some more people come in. Yeah, I mean, for my retreats, that'd be magical.
Yes, you'll definitely have to share the name of the Airbnb and the all
Yes.
of that so we can list that in the show notes because I can see people like if they did go to London just to, get outside of the city and
Yeah.
experience a day or two in this area. It sounds
Absolutely. Yeah,
fabulous.
and it's not that far. Yeah, as I said, it's not that far from London. So if you're going for a city break, London or Bristol or Cardiff is the capital of Wales. It's really not that far from where we hike. So that'd be great.
Yeah. So one more time, Lena, share where people can find you and connect with you and join one of your
Yes.
outings.
So it's on Instagram and Facebook. It's Get Out Mindfulness, all one word. And then I do have a website which is get-out.co.uk. I will share that with you, so maybe you
Yeah,
can put it
I
in the
will.
description.
Yes,
And
definitely.
yeah, and the retreats, they're all. I've got a link on the website where you can see the whole calendar with retreats and walks. And yeah, that's where you can find me. I'm always responding to any messages on Instagram, Facebook. So yeah,
And to see your
that's where
lovely
you can find
photos
me.
on Instagram. I love
Yes.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot because a very good friend of mine comes on most of the retreats with me, and he's a photographer. So we're kind of working together. So that's why I've got so many amazing pictures. And yeah, a lot of pictures of me in the sea because that's where I spend most of my time at the moment. But yeah, or in the mountains. Yeah.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you so much, Lena. This has been wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You really enjoyed that.